Good morning and welcome back. So I have got the Kuku dust extractor, so I'm just showing it here. It has a pull-out filter in there. It cost me around £50 with delivery, so I'm testing it out by removing my mum's nails today. So it's not the best dust extractor, I'm going to say that. I do still get dust coming back at me. However, it collects about 2/3 of it. So that's an improvement, isn't it? I do like the size. It's not too big. I do like the fact that you just pull that filter out. That's quite handy. It's just not powerful enough. So I think once I get my once we move and I've got a dedicated room, I will probably invest in a more expensive one. But if it's taking 2/3 of the dust away, that's 2/3 less you're breathing in or that's getting on your skin. So for a interim unit, you know, it'll do the job. So that's me just moving it because my mum holds her hands quite high when I'm doing her nails. So yeah, I just moved it a bit to make sure. But yeah, you can see I'm still getting dust on my hands, but it is taking some of it. So I am removing my mum's old set and we are cutting these nails down because they were very long. And I am using my extra coarse bit from Nail Supplies. I am using my e-file, which I got on eBay. It cost me £40. This is the second one I've owned. It's really good. For a cheap e-file, it's very, very good. You just need to buy decent drill bits. So that's what I'm doing. So as always, I am using my e-file with the extra coarse bit on full speed to remove this bulk, to remove this acrylic. So it normally takes me around 5 minutes-ish, 5 to 6 minutes to remove completely any acrylic on that nail. And that's with switching drill bits as well. I come in with the extra coarse and I take down as much as I can with that. I am more careful, there you go, bit flew off, bit more careful around the cuticles. I'm tickling it rather than using it with any pressure. But on these longer bits, yeah, you just long downward strokes and just tickle it off, pretty much. So I ended up doing my mum's nails yesterday because I had 2 cancellations yesterday. It would have been 3, but last minute my client ended up coming anyway, so I stopped doing my mum's nails. So I do need to file them into shape and get a photo today, so I shall do that later after I've done my 2 clients today. So cutting the length down with that drill bit, it's a very nice drill bit to use. So all in all, although it's not the best, you know, dust extractor, it does the job. You know, it does what I need it to do and it takes some of that out. So when I've finished, I do take the filter out and I show you how much dust is collected in there. The larger bits of acrylic, you know, they just sit on top anyway because they're too big to go through. But it's, yeah, it does the job and it does cut it down. You can see as I'm filing it, sucking that dust in. But just because of the way I hold my hands, I still end up with it on my hands and my client's hands. But it's not flying into my face, which is a good thing. I've come to the conclusion that actually the eczema or whatever it is on my forehead is probably hormonal. I did have it over Christmas and I didn't do any nails over Christmas at all. So yeah, but if this helps, then it's got to be a bonus. Now I just move it out of the way. It depends on the client. I used it the other day and I just put some tissue over the top of it and I worked with it there. But with my mum, I moved it out of the way just to make it easier. So that's me just brushing the rest of the dust. As you can see, it's collected quite a bit. I then switch my drill bit to my fine safety bit, and I use a safety bit so I don't cut my client. I have this on about speed 12 to 14 and I'm using that to remove the last bits of that acrylic and to take off any lifting. Mum didn't have too much. She had that one on the middle finger, and that's because she banged her nail the same way I did when we were doing our mass hinge out on Sunday. So we both suffered. Our nails both suffered. As you can see, I have tint on my thumb. But as I've said before, these nails are coming down in preparation for if we sell. Because, yeah, I won't have time to do them. So I'm going to do that at some point. So I use that drill bit to remove any lifting by filing behind it, not on top of it. If you file on top of it, you will chase that lifting right down the nail. So this one had lifted quite a lot. As you can see, she's literally got that thin acrylic on that tip. I then just remove that filter, move the extractor out of the way. And I just take it out so that I can tap it onto the towel and show you how much it collected. So not too bad. It does collect a fair amount of it, just not all of it. So with that in mind, you may want to invest in a better one, but for the interim, this one will do nicely. So yeah, quite pleased for the price, quite pleased. On to application. So just bear with me while I get my shit sorted out, because that's what I'm doing. So we are going to be doing my mum a set of nude and green glitter. So I am using Perfect Peach from CJP. As you all know, this is a little bit of a harder colour for me to work with. So I'm using it a little bit wetter. But I have done all of my prep. I have pushed back my mum's cuticles. We have done the cuticle bit. We have etched the natural nail growth. And I am now coming in, getting ready to lay that clear base layer. Very rarely do my mum a brand new set anyway. We usually do redesigns. And then I just replace tips or sculpture a tip if we need to. So just getting everything ready. And we then come in and dehydrate all 5 fingers. So I use CJP's Prep Spray Plus on a lint-free pad. My lint-free pads are actually waxing paper strips, and I cut them up. Work just as well and a lot cheaper. So just spray that onto a lint-free pad and wipe over each of those nails. So it is a dehydrator as well. I then come in with the Prep and Dehydrate Brush On formula from CJP. One coat on all of the nails. One dip of the brush into the bottle will do all 5. We then come in, I'm using my size 12 Tracy Lou brush. So putting that clear bead on at that growth area and then just pull it down to cover the rest of the nail. Dehydrating again onto that one, wait for that dehydrator to dry and then come in with that clear bead, tap around the cuticle and swipe down. This is a long video today because I have left everything in pretty much. I only get to the e-filing on the thumb before this cuts off because my client turned up, so we had to put it on hold. So again, just let that dehydrator dry, that clear bead goes on, tap. You can see that this brush is really easy to work with. It's not massively different from the size 10. Just means that I can pick up a bigger bead. So getting that clear onto that thumb. So when I'm doing my mum's nails, her nails do hook naturally, so we build them up on top and we file them out from underneath. So I'm going to do my glitter first. So this set was inspired by Kes 2107, Kerry Anderson. So we are doing a glitter stripe down the centre of that middle nail. So I am using Tinkerbell from Tracy Lou. It is a colour shift glitter. It's beautiful. So it shifts between green and blue. So I'm small bead of acrylic, picking up that glitter, placing it on the nail, and then we are forming it into a stripe down that nail. So I'm trying to keep it as straight as possible. Just tap that into place, move it around to where you want to get it, and then straighten it up with the point of your brush. Trying to keep it very thin near that top end because we don't want any bulk there, obviously. And you can see that acrylic's still moving. I'm touching it, so it's still moving. I'm using the one monomer from CJP, so primerless liquid. And then we then switch, let that dry, and I'm doing a thin layer of Perfect Peach. I work with it a little bit wetter. That's how it works for me. I'm not saying that's right, but I find it dries quite chalky, so I tend to work with it a little bit wetter. So we get that on at that cuticle, get that nice and neat, and we are then going to bring that glitter in and we're going to fade it back up the nail. So just smoothing it out as much as I can. So a small bead of clear acrylic straight into that raw glitter, onto the nail, and then we just move it around to where we get it. I'm going to fade it up, and then in a second I come in and get another bead of acrylic, very tiny bead, and pick up some more of that glitter just to get it on that tip end. We wanted it a little bit better coverage. So just moving it around till it's where I want it, and we then leave that to set. Turn your tissue over at this point, and you won't then get glitter in all of your nude. There we go, turned it over. So first bead, Perfect Peach, on at that cuticle. Get that tucked in nice and neatly, tap tap around the top, swipe down the side, and then I am using my brush to pull that acrylic down the nail, side to side, just walking it across, pulling it down, and then swiping to the free edge. So as you can see, almost in one bead. Then come in with the second bead on the free edge, get it nice and neat, and then pull that back. It would be easier if I didn't use Perfect Peach at all, but it's a really good coverage, and because Mum had lots of colours on her nails still, I wanted something that would cover. Another wet bead on at that cuticle, and then pull it down over the rest of the nail to smooth that out, and we leave that to set. I then go back to that glitter stripe, pick up a small bead of clear acrylic, take the drain it on the back of the bead out on my tissue, and then I put that on the top and we walk it down, but I'm creating that wall of acrylic because you need something to file up against. We're going to file this into shape. So trying to keep it as neat as I can with my brush. Another one on there, and you don't want it too wet because it will run away with you. So just keep it nice and controlled all the way down to the tip. And then because my wall's not high enough, I then come in with a third bead to go down the whole thing again. On the other hand, I used less acrylic. It wasn't as bulky as this one, but you can see how that nail hooks. So she's got quite a high arch on there. I have left it in the e-filing of this finger. I did use an e-file on these and then finish filed by hand, or half finish filed because the other hand isn't filed yet. Still got that to do. So just get nice and neat, and then just use my brush to keep it as straight as I possibly can, and we'll leave that to set. We then go back to this finger and cap this as well, so that first bead goes on where that glitter starts, blend it in at the back, and then pull it down to cover it, slightly wetter because we are covering glitter, and that works better for me. and I then come in and cap that. I didn't blend it in at the back as much as I should have done, to be fair, but I came back in with another bead just from the cuticle down, just to make sure we've got our apex where we want it. And like I said, I'm building them up a bit thicker because we're going to file them out from underneath to correct that hook. Once that is done, we can then do the nude on all the other fingers. So first bead goes on, as always, at the cuticle, tap, tap, tuck it in at that side, tap, tap. And you can see I'm using the point of my brush to get it around that cuticle. And then we just pull the product down the rest of the nail. So you can see I'm working much wetter with this colour than I do on most colours. The good thing is, it always looks a bit dodgy until you file it. It files beautifully, you don't get shadowing or anything like that. It is just one of those colours, because it's highly pigmented, it's just a little trickier to work with. Size 12 brush is very, very good. I am loving Tracy Lou's brushes. I haven't used anything else since she launched them. They are that good. You can see my bead pick up there. I've got my pot tilted because I'm getting to the bottom of the pot of this colour, and obviously if I laid it flat I would put my brush in and probably hit the bottom, and that bead will just stick in the bottom of the pot. So that's why I've got it tilted in the lid, just so I can get the last of it out. So on a thumb, because the thumb is bigger, that first bead I start halfway down, I then come in with my cuticle bead over the top. Look how beautifully that went on. That was really nice. Little dry bit there. Let's get rid of that. And then just tap in and pull in and swipe in to smooth it out. Another bead. Beautiful. So we then go back to that middle finger and we are filing that straight. So I am using the 100 grit side and I am pushing up against that wall. I am not pushing down onto the natural nail to cause any problems there, and we're getting it as straight as we possibly can. And then we are then going to come in with the nude onto those two side areas. So it doesn't matter if your nude goes over your glitter because you will file it through. One of the nicest things about doing designs like this is when you file it and it comes out nice and straight. It's lovely. So yeah, just doing that as straight and as neat as I can. I turn the hand around so I can see if it's straight from that angle, and then adjust if necessary. So brush some of the dust off, turn the hand around, have a look, go back, refile until I am happy. Brush dust off again. I then use my brush with some monomer on and I just wipe over that glitter just to get it nice and shiny. And then I come in with my two beads. So I dropped that one, as you saw, waste not, want not, picked it back up. So pop it in at that cuticle, and I am still checking from each side and down the barrel of the nail to make sure I have got the thickness where I want it. I'm just pressing it in, using the side of my brush to press it in against that wall. We don't want any little pockets, we don't want any holes. And then the same on the other side. So as you can see, I've put it over the top of that glitter. It will not matter, we can file that in. I'm more concerned about keeping it off the skin. So just smoothing that out. And come back with another bead. Just because I had a little dip on that side, so we want to make sure that's filled in. Better to have too much and file it off than the other way round. we go. So once that's done, we allow that to set. Still faffing, look. I then come in with my e-file, so I am using my safety bit, my fine safety bit from Nail Dot Supplies. Just cleaning my brush out. So it's on about a speed 12, so I go in and just debulk, go underneath those nails and take those edges out, and it's just speed really, just makes it quicker. Because I'm going to come in with a hand file anyway and just refine those edges. So on this glitter one, getting rid of that bulk all the way around the cuticle, because it's a safety bit. I'm not going to worry about cutting my client, and we're just using it to go underneath. So as you can see, I'm taking out the thickness from underneath the nail rather than on top, and that will then level it out. Getting rid of the bulk, go over the barrel of the nail. You will see that my drill bit is pulled out slightly from the drill. This is because of the nails being a little bit longer, it gives you a little bit more room. But be warned, if you pull it out too much, it will wobble, it will vibrate. So don't do it too much. But again, same on this one, we're taking that bulk out from underneath, and then we're coming in, look at that. There's nothing nicer when you file through a cutout design. Beautiful. So just taking the bulk off, and I'm checking down the sides and the barrel of the nail to make sure I don't take it. We don't want it to be flat, we want that apex there. So just checking to make sure I don't take it down too much, but I want to get that excess off because we want to reveal that glitter underneath. Lovely. So I file all of the nails, and we then switch to a hand file to refine. And it's really just to remove any scratches from the e-file, just to make sure that they are absolutely straight, that the side walls are coming straight out. Oh, just been checking my messages, got carried away then. So with my hand file, Tracy Lou's 100/180 grit file, I am using a new file to get those sides nice and straight and to do that free edge. I then come in with a older file. My mum does have quite dry cuticles, so I don't want to be cutting her. So up and around that cuticle, holding that skin back as I'm working round. And then down the barrel of the nail as well. We then come in and buff each nail as I go. This is just my routine, it's just the way that I do it. I'm not saying it's right. So again, with that new file, get those edges nice and sharp. Get that free edge nice and straight. So always sidewalls, free edge. And then around the cuticle, up and over. I have sped this video up because it's quite a long one, except for the bit with the e-filing in. But all of this bit is. Look at that camera mount wobble. giving it some welly. Again, coming in with that buffer afterwards, making sure there are no scratches in that acrylic. Making sure we've got no bulk where we need it. Where we don't need it, sorry. Just coming back in with that drill bit to take out underneath. Just brushing the dust off, give them a check. And again, with that 100 grit, we're taking out underneath. She's got that hook there still. So we're flattening that out. So I'm just supporting the nail on one side, which you should always do if you've got someone with long nails. You need to support that nail when you're filing, otherwise it will be uncomfortable for them. So up and around the cuticle as normal, nice and slow. Don't want to be cutting anybody. And then up and over the barrel of the nail. Checking the whole time. Using my thumb to wipe over to feel if there's any lumps and bumps on there. So again, I'm supporting the top of the nail to take out that hook underneath. So I'm holding it to give it some support when I'm filing. And then again in with the buffer to buff over the whole nail. And we're nearly at the end. Once I have filed all the nails into shape, I will then use CJP's tack-free top gloss. They go into the lamp for 60 seconds, allow them to cool down for a few seconds, and then I apply my cuticle oil. And that is my finished nude and green glitter set. Thank you for watching, guys. I will get her other hand done and get the photo on as soon as possible, and I will be back very soon. Bye bye.